Hello. Today we will talk about a popular term that makes no sense. Or does it? You decide. When winners write history, they get an opportunity to glorify their virtues and whitewash their vices. The 2 centuries of the British rule over India followed the rule of native governments who were at best conciliatory. And hence, this became a favorable environment for the British narratives to thrive. This is how the well planned First War of Independence became a spontaneous mutiny over bullets. The expansion of railways became a blessing. The Madras famine disappeared from the history, and the 200 years of destruction became the white man's burden. More on them some other day. The winner's history in general is the glorification of the winner. Beyond the virtues and vices, it may also turn failures into fabulous. Today, we will talk about one such failure, and that is masterly inactivity. The early 19th century changed the realities for the British Empire. With the fall of Napoleon, the British's perpetual rivalry with the French was replaced by the threat from the Russians. For the rest of the century, both Russia and British India ferociously explored Central Asia. Each was trying to overpower the other's expansion. This episode of 100 Years is popularly called the Great Game. Both parties were playing this quite aggressively until one day the British decided to invade Afghanistan. In early 1839, a large army of British and native Indian soldiers, followed by tens of thousands of camp followers, crossed the Bolan Pass into Afghanistan. In quick succession, they captured Kandahar and Kabul. Dost Muhammad, the Amir of Kabul, surrendered and was exiled to India. But the British had grievously miscalculated their love among the Afghans. Just 2 years after the invasion, a seemingly well planned rebellion broke in Kabul. Scores of British and Indian natives were slaughtered in the streets overnight. After a few weeks of struggle, the British gave up and signed a deal with Dost Muhammad's son. They promised to re-establish Dost Muhammad in lieu of their safe passage to India. But in this tribal community, no one could and no one was entrusted to give British the safe passage. On their return journey, thousands of soldiers and civilians were killed in tribal raids. Many Indians were taken slaves. Despite being less equipped and poorly fed than their British counterparts, Indian sepoys led the security of the convoy. Apparently, not a single Indian native sepoy made it to India. Sadly, their sacrifices are never talked about in the British narratives. The Afghanistan disaster shook everyone from Calcutta to London. The ruling party lost the next election. The Governor General of India was replaced. The new Governor General decided one major raid to settle scores and bring back their white hostages. Once that was done, British authorities started consolidating their power in India. Punjab and Sindh were subdued, and the harassment of Marathas and Afghans began. Then came the War of Independence in 1857. The British were almost wiped off from the major parts of India. The company got bankrupt and was liquidated. India came directly under the Queen. Once they reestablished their authority in India, the British were just done with the Great Game. They decided to focus inwards, at least for the next 2 decades. All the exploration campaigns across Central Asia were defunded, and no white citizen was allowed to cross the land borders. Meanwhile, Russians were expanding rapidly. Russians captured Tashkent, Samarkand, Khiva, Bukhara, and inched towards India. In response, all the British did was writing strong worded letters to the Russian Tsar. In our words, Kade se Kade Shaktu mein Ninda. In fact, when Dost Muhammad died and his 20 or so sons fought for the throne, British just watched all this from a safe distance. Whenever someone would claim the throne, the viceroy would send them greetings. The British were just done. This period of economic and political exhaustion was declared by the British as the doctrine of masterly inactivity. They said that they were not exhausted, but their inactivity was a planned masterstroke. The doctrine of masterly inactivity continued till 1879. What could be worse than losing to Afghanistan once? It would be losing to them twice. So, in 1879, the British decided to march to Kabul once again, breaking the doctrine. This time, they were not just defeated, but they were defeated with no survivors in Kabul. Once again, Indian native sepoys made their last stand. but barely found a place in the British narratives. It is also worth noting that though the British had officially decided not to risk the lives of their white citizens, they had not completely abandoned the explorations during Masterly Inactivity. In 1860s, British raised the batches of native explorers called pundits. These were trained to use surveying equipment, to measure distances by walking, and to take various disguises such as traders and pilgrims. Since they were natives, they costed way less, could easily mix up into the local crowd, and could be easily disowned by the government if caught. These pundits played a major role in exploring Tibet, China, and many other parts of Central Asia, especially when the British were masterly inactive. When the British came back into the Great Game, these explorations helped them counter the Russian expansion towards China, Kashmir, and other parts of India. Many of them died in the process. Many were captured and executed, while the government claimed no involvement. Some notable pundits were Nayan Singh Rawat, Abdul Majid, Hari Ram, Haider Shah, Kitnuk, and Mirza Suja. So, if next time someone calls you lazy, tell them that you are not lazy. You are masterly inactive. Thanks for watching.